you can see our shamash. Right, first a technical explanation. We have one shamash, but the trouble is because the Chanukkah is in front of the mirror, everything is doubled up. So you'll see everything twice.
Oh, that's nice.
There we are.
Oh,
Can you do that?
lost it.
Can you light your shamash, Sharon? Sharon's shamash. Bit of a tongue twister. And Helen and Gary, your shamash.
Like the weight, lads.
Can we go to page 399? A bit further on, Gary, please. 399.
Come out.
May the heroic example of the Maccabees inspire us always to be loyal to our heritage and valiant for truth. Let these lights that we kindle shine forth for the whole Zoom world to see. May the message they proclaim help to dispel the darkness of prejudice and hatred and spread the light of liberty and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שעשה ניסים לאבותינו בימים ההם הזמן.
What they would do.
Very pretty.
Can you turn the light off?
Well, then I won't see to read.
Right, if we can just turn the page, please, to Haneo Halalu. Gary, a bit further down, next page. Hanerot Halalu Anachnu Madlikim Al Hanisim V'al HaTeshuot V'al HaNiflaot She'asita La'avoteinu Al Yedei Kohanecha HaKdoshim B'chol Shemonat Yomei Hanukkah Hanerot halalu kodesh V'ein lanu reshut leishtamesh bahem Ela lirotam bilvad Kedei lahodot l'shivham Al nisecha v'al yeshuotecha v'al niflotecha. Gary, can we now go to the screen share with Mark also, please? Mark also. Have we frozen? Is Gary there? Hello? Gary?
Yes.
Can we go to Mark Osua, please?
Yes. Well, it's on my screen. It's obviously not on your screen. Hold on.
Not on our screen, Gary.
Thank you. We'll try again. Wherever it is, here it is. Okay.
Right, can you enlarge, please? And
No.
you want everybody to join together.
No, everybody's got to put their glasses on now.
No, you haven't. You made it nice and large. Right, now up to the top. Up to the top.
It is at the top.
Yeshuati l'chana el shabeya tikon beitefilati l'sham toda mezabeya li'etavim yak mitzah nabe Azegmo Beshir,
Mizmor Hanukkah Tamizbeah.
Can we go a bit lower? Lo Shavanashi, Bayagan Kochi Chala, Hayai Meru Bakushi, Bashibud Malchut Egla, Yado Hadola, Hotzi
et
Haskula, Chael Paro V'chol Zaro, Yaduka Evan Matsula, Tavia Kol Shor Heviani, V'gam Sham Lo Shakatati, Uvano Geis V'hiklani, Kizarim Avarati, V'yein Ma'al Masachti, Himat She'avati, Kate Pavel Zelubabel, V'Kate Shivim Noshati, Yavanim Nikvasu Alai, Azai B'mechashmanim, Ufaratsu Hamot Migdalai, V'timu Kol Hashmanim, Uminota Kankanim, Nazanes L'Shoshanim, B'nei Vina Yemei Shmona, Kavu Shir Urana, Onim. Over to you, Simon. If you'd like to take over. And I do have a couple more Hanukkah songs if you wanted them right at the end instead of a Don Alarm.
Thank you, David. I don't know about everybody else. I sort of feel like I need to take a moment's breath. It's been a bit of a panic the last quarter of an hour. It's thanks to those who worked to resolve the logging on issues. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Chag Sameach. Welcome. It's lovely to see you all, if only virtually. I'm going to lead Shabbat evening service number 1 tonight, which is handy because that's what Gary's just put up on the screen. And we're going to start that. Lois is sitting there poised with the matches and the candles. She's going to light the Shabbat candles for us. If you would, Lois, please.
Simon, can you unmute Lois? We can't hear her.
I put my best.
Simon, you're on mute.
We praise you. Oh no, sorry. Baruch atah Adonai Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, who sanctify us by your commandments and enjoin us to kindle the Sabbath lights. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thanks, Lois.
Can you put that?
No, I'll do it off the screen. Thank you. Happy is the people by whom the Sabbath is sanctified. Happy are those who rejoice in its blessing. For it comes with a message of God's abiding love, as one who brings good tidings and publishes peace. Maria haletzu yeshaynu nakadma fana betoda bismirot nari hala ki el gadol Adonai ומלך גדול כל אלוהים אשר בידו מכרי הארץ וצפות לו. אשר לא היה והוא עשה, הוא יבש את ידיו יצרו בו נשתחווה ונכרע, נברכה לפני אדוני עושנו. כי הוא אלוהינו ואנחנו עם מריצו ויצון ידו, היום אם בכל לא תשמעו. Stuart, Ruth, would you like to read something? If you and Stuart like to do alternate.
Thank you, Simon. Sing a new song to the Eternal One.
Sing to your Creator, all the earth.
Sing to the Eternal One, praise God's name.
Proclaim God's salvation from day to day.
Declare God's glory among the nations.
God's wonders amongst all the peoples.
For great is the Eternal One, and greatly to be praised.
To be revered above all other gods.
For all of them are mere idols.
But the Eternal One made the heavens.
Honor and majesty are in God's presence.
Strength and beauty in God's sanctuary.
Acclaim the Eternal One, all races and peoples.
Acknowledge God's glory and might.
Worship the Eternal One in the beauty of holiness.
Tremble in God's presence, all the earth.
Declare among the nations, God reigns, the world stands firm.
God judges the people with justice.
Let the heavens be glad and the earth rejoice.
Let the sea and all that fills it roar out praise.
Let the field exult and all that is in it.
Let the trees of the forest shout for joy before God, who comes to ride the earth.
To rule the world with righteousness.
And the peoples with truth.
Thank you. Lovely to hear your voice, Ruth.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. Thank you.
L'chadodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekablo. L'chadodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekablo. Shama v'zacha b'dibo echad, Ishme'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, U'shema echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litzila. L'chadodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabala. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nei lecha, Ki imecho habracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof mahasei v'machashavatei lo. L'chadodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekablo. Hitzahari, Kivarechu mihuri, Uri, Sheraberi, Kavod Adonai olayich nigla. L'chadodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabala. Bohi v'shalom atzeret b'hala gam b'simcha u'b'tzara tzachem u'hnei am segulo bohi chala L'chadodil lichrat kala panei Shabbat nechablo nechabalo. Paul, loving it's your dad's yacht site today. Do you want to lead us in the barakah? Once you've unmuted yourself.
It does help.
Yeah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai hamavarach. Baruch Adonai hamavarach la'olam va'ed. Praise the one to whom our praise is due. We praise the Eternal One, to whom our praise is due forever.
Baruch Hu et Adonai hamavarach. Baruch Adonai hamavarach le'olam va'ed. I sang that because, trust me, if Paul had sung it, the wallpaper would have fallen off your walls. On the top of page 93. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochmach po'oteh sha'arim, uvitvu'ona mishanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umasadeh et hakokovim, v'rishmonotechem barakir kirtsono, bore yom v'layla, gole o mifnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, umevi yom uvein layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai sevaot shemo. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We praise you, O God, whose word makes evening full. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha Torah u'mitzvot chochim u'mishpatim otanu limadata al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu u'chumeinu nasiach b'chuchecha v'nismach b'divrei Torato of mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yomeinu u'behem negeh yomam v'layla ve'ahavata al taseh mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev hamo Yisrael. We praise you, O God. You love your people Israel. Sharon, would you like to lead us into the Shema?
Thank you. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Eternal One is our God. The Eternal God is one. Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Praised forever be God's glorious majesty. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha, ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Thank you, Sharon. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם. Miriam, would you like to lead us in the Emet, or all this we hold to be true, whichever you prefer to do?
All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, eternal one, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You have freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly, we accepted your rule. Then, full of joy, we sang together. Me. Adonai.
מי כמוך נטע בקודש נורא תהילות הספר אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד הזק ממנו. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, O God, Redeemer of Israel. Hashkeveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamideinu ma'akeinu l'chaim u'faras aleinu sukat shalomecha v'tachaneinu be'atza tova milfanecha v'hosheinu למען שמך והגן בעדנו והסם עלינו אויב דבר וחרב רב ויגון וחרחק Mihimenu avon v'fasha uvatsel kanafecha tastirenu ki'el shamarenu umatzlienu ata ki'el melech Chanun v'rachum ota u'shamot tzeitzenu uvoheinu l'chayim u'l'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, hafarei sukkot shalom, aleinu v'al kol yoshvei tevel. We praise you, O God. May your sheltering peace descend on us and all who dwell on earth. Adonai sefatai tiftach u'hofiach tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov. Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, v'Hanora, El Elyon. Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol. V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imaot. U'Mevi Gu'ala Livnei v'Neihem, L'Ma'on Shemo B'Yahava. Melech Ozer Omasher Omagain. Baruch atah Adonai, Magain Avraham be'etzrat Sarah. We praise you, O God, shield of Abraham and protector of Sarah. Atah gibor li'olam Adonai, mechayei meitim atah rav lahoshia. Mashiv aruach u'magim hageshem, mazriach hashemesh umriv hatal. Mechachel chayim v'chesed, v'chayei meitim v'rachamim rabim. Somech noflim v'rafeh cholim, u'matzeh hasorim, u'machayei u'manatzah nishenei afar. Michamocha bahar gevorot Omid Melech, Melech, Meimitz Umachayeh, Umatzmeach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah lachayot meitim, Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hameitim. We praise you, O God, source of eternal life. Kadosh atah v'narash shemecha, v'ein lanu ala mibladecha, Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We praise you, eternal one, the holy God. Liz, would you like to lead us in the next piece from We Thank You, O God? Once you've unmuted.
I beg your pardon. We thank you, O God, for this Sabbath day, which calls us to a closer communion with you. Through you, though you are near to us at all times, you reveal your presence most clearly when we direct our thoughts towards you in worship and meditation. In you, O God, our humanity is exalted. You are our life. From you comes its greatness, its power, its beauty. Establish in us, we humbly pray, a devotion to you that shall be firm in all the circumstances of life. May this service renew in our hearts the sense of your presence and bring us peace.
Thank you, Liz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'doratom berit olam, beinihu v'bein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. K'sheshet yomim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et haaretz, Uvayom hashvihi Shabbat v'yinafash. Tony, would you like to lead us in the Elenu? Yeah.
Eloheinu v'Elahei Avotenu, Rotzeh b'Nuchoteinu, Gadshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'ten chelkeinu b'toratecha, Saveinu mituvecha, v'samcheinu b'shuatecha, v'taheh libenu, li'ovdecha be'emet. V'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu Yahava uvarason Shabbat kodshecha Shabbat kodshecha Vaynuchu kol Yisrael Vaynuchu ba Yisrael Mekadashei shemecha Baruch atah Adonai Mechadesh HaShabbat. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath.
Thanks, Tony. Rotzei Adonai Eloheinu b'yamecha Yisrael, u'tefilatam b'ahavat tekabel, u'tehila ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, she'adecha levadecha b'yira na'avod. We praise you, O God, whom alone we worship in reverence. Those of you who joined me in services before know that whenever the Modim comes up, it was a prayer that gives thanks. I always ask if there's anyone has had something particularly good that's happened in the past week that they want to share with us. The one thing I saw was the fact that the chief exec of Liberal Judaism, Rabbi Charlie Beginsky, was in fact the first woman, the first progressive rabbi to be invited to light the Chanukkah at Trafalgar Square, which I think without doubt is fairly significant. And I thought that was a real good step forward. And anybody else has got anything they want to share that's particularly good that's happened this past week?
I'd love to share, Simon.
Go, Sharon.
So this week at my school, despite the fact that, well, actually there might be a few Jewish students that don't know they are, but that's another matter. We have been doing a whole week about Hanukkah and what Hanukkah is. And in the middle of January, we're actually going to do a whole Jewish Awareness Week, celebrating what Jewish people do for the British country. But what really was lovely is I did 3 assemblies whilst we were still allowed to in person, lit the Chanukkah and sung Hanerot Halalu and Matzur. And yesterday, a young boy came up to me and he said, Miss, why don't you do a Jewish club after school? And I said, who would be interested? And he said, well, I would, and I'll get some more people. So I said, if you can get some more people, I will run a Jewish club for you after school to teach you about different things in the Jewish religion, which in this day where there's so much anti-Semitic going on, I thought was very beautiful.
Lovely, thank you. That's great. Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I went to the Rosh Chodesh group. I haven't been able to do it come very often, but it was a real pleasure. First we lit the candles and then everybody reflected on things they felt light based on light and darkness, things that that were personal to them. And then we had the pleasure of studying with student Rabbi Eleanor Davis, and it's always nice to hear other rabbis, as much as I like the ones we've got. And
you have to say that, don't you?
That was good, wasn't it, Miriam and Sharon?
Lovely. Anyone else?
Yeah, just to say that I was able to enjoy that same session while sitting on the 169 bus using the iPhone. But if they'd have asked me to open up the camera, they would have got the picture of my ear, because that's the only way I could hear it.
Okay, that's nice.
Simon? albeit with a couple of technical difficulties, the week of candle lighting with everyone together on Zoom, and also visiting France and Israel twice, and the next 2 nights as well are going to be really special.
Yeah, there is something very special about Chanukkah.
On Zoom, somehow, particularly all the different houses, all buildings and homes all gathered together, and internationally as well. It's great.
Lovely.
There's about 130 people on the Israeli one, wasn't there? 130, 140.
Oh, the Jews will turn up for anything that's free, won't they? So, okay, so at the bottom of page 100. Modim anachnu lach sha'atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu le'olam v'ed tzor chayenu magen yishaynu atahu ledavado nodeh lecha u'saper Tehilatecha achayenu hamasurim bayadecha ve'al nishmarataynu hapekudot lach ve'al nisecha shebecho yom imanu ve'al nifalotecha v'tovatecha shemcha et Erev v'avoche V'tzaharayim Baruch Atah Adonai Hatol Shimcha Lecha Na'el Hadot. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. Who shall I pick on now? Randolph, would you like to lead us in the Shalom Rav, or the supreme source?
Yeah. Supreme source of peace. Grant true and lasting peace to your people Israel, for it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all the people may be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace.
Baruch Atah Adonai. I'll say Hashalom. Thank you. Take a moment now for some personal thoughts. I have to say that today my thoughts have centered around that poor young boy that the parents were sentenced this afternoon. I just can't. In fact, it reduced actually Lois and I to tears. So just my thoughts will be with that. I think his name was Anthony. But just take a few moments.
Arthur, Simon.
Was it Arthur? Was it? Thank you, Stuart. Laratzon emraifi Mahegyan libi lefanecha Adonai sori v'gali. David, I take the benefit of having you, Rabbi David, having you on screen with us. You know, we're in the middle of Chanukkah. From a David Hulbert point of view, share us some words. I'm sure you've got something to say about Chanukkah that you'd like to impart upon us.
I wish you gave me some warning, Simon.
I did. All of about 2 seconds. But
Thank you. Well, it's lovely sitting here and seeing we have 6 lights for the 6 days and the Shamash. That means 7. And also I've got different sorts of lights, which is the lights of the souls of all the people. I've got 14 Zooms, including myself and Fiona. And it's rather similar that you have these lights from a Chanukkah and you have this magical machine which brings so many people together onto one screen. It is sad that we're not physically together in a space. I'm rather ambivalent. I just wanted to show, I don't know if you've got any comments, but over the last decade, something very new, which has come exclusively from Chabad, is this new idea of Lefasem Hanes, which is publicizing the miracle, making it public, not just to the Jewish community, but to the outside Gentile world, which is something that certainly never happened in my childhood or in my parents' or grandparents' generation. The Chanukiot, menorahs as they call them, always lit inside in the home. But in Israel, of course, you see all the menorahs out on people's windows, so they're certainly seen from the roadside. And Chabad in our area go even further with a huge menorah in the middle of Gantz Hill, roundabout, which has been there for decades. But now we have one on top of the bridge over the North Circular Road, so it's seen by all the commuters rushing home after work on the North Circular Road. So it was very at the boundary of ELELS. So yeah, it is a rabbinic enactment to publicize the miracle and to hold your, to put your Chanukkah outside the house. That's in the Talmud, but neglected in our parents' generation. The bad point about it is, of course, feeling of our grandparents that we should be quiet and keep our religion and our faith, our minority faith, quiet to ourselves and don't make too much noise about being Jewish. That was their attitude for good reason. Chabad have the opposite attitude. Explicitly, the rabbi said that the best way of combating anti-Semitism is to be out there and proud and show our Judaism and our difference. And not everybody in this multi-faith country celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ with Christmas trees. Not everybody does that anymore. So I'm ambivalent about it, particularly in view of that scandalous attack on a bus of Frum Jews in Oxford Street. So there's plenty, well, not plenty, there is always a modicum of some anti-Semitism, gross anti-Semitism in our society. Is it a good idea to show your Judaism, or is it wiser, more secure to disguise it? Over to you.
Thank you, David.
If we disguise it, then anti-Semitism will just get worse. I've really witnessed this week, the school I'm in is actually quite multicultural. It's actually not completely Muslim because we have huge amounts of refugees that come in to our school from pretty much everywhere. We've got a lot of Eastern Europeans, we've got a lot of Hindu, we do have Muslim as well, and varying other things in between. But I have been really humbled this week. Like literally, I've had nothing but compliments about the songs that I sung by both the teachers and the kids, and several people asking questions. And one of the things I was asked was, when I was preparing and gave it to one of the other teachers to help me sort the PowerPoint out, was what message can people who are not Jewish take away? And I said, well, how can they shine their light in the world, that each of them has some sort of talent, gift, whatever that is, how can they shine their light? And I've had quite a few students and staff come up to me and say that's really made them think. So for me, I think it's really essential that we share, especially with younger people, because that's the way we're going to combat anti-Semitism, or quite frankly, racism of any sort or kind.
Thank you, Sharon. Obviously, what you're doing in Beale's school is
Eastbrook
identical to
School,
what
Eastbrook School in Dagenham.
Sorry, your school in Dagenham. Sorry about that. It's very similar to what's being done on the North Circular Road yesterday evening. I did mention there were about 60 people there, 60 Jewish people, plus some dignitaries from the local council, and we were all absolutely freezing. Anybody who's got a different or opposing point of view?
I just want to say that it's great what the Chabad are doing over our eastern, because it's not only Gants Hill and Wood, but it's Epping and Loughton. They've got, but unfortunately, it backfired this week in Oxford Street with that bus that the Chanukkah bus that was driving up Oxford Street, and it got attacked by some horrible people. But it's what you get when, I hate to say this, but it's Arab territory now, Oxford Street, and if you're going to take a bus with, and stop it and get off and do a dance to celebrate Hanukkah, you're asking for trouble. And I think they have to be a little bit careful, just a little bit careful where they do it.
You're saying Oxford Street is rather different from the Woodford High Road.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Yeah. If you're in a work situation or social situation, it comes up when it comes to having meals, because they immediately realise that certain things you can't eat and certain things you can eat. So that immediately, or you're in shopping, they realise that there's certain things you're not going to buy and certain things you will buy. So you're more or less forced to admit you're Jewish, whether you want to or not.
Well, thank you very much, Tony. Any other comments?
The only comment I've got to make is Lois went to the deli this afternoon and picked up the challah and everything else, and they gave her a bag of donuts. So that was pretty good.
Nice.
And who ate all the donuts, Simon?
No, I don't know. I promise you, they're still intact. They're in the kitchen. I can't touch donuts. But,
well, if you need any help with eating them.
Well, obviously, the link with the Hanukkah story, which goes back 2,200 years, is then the Jewish community of Eretz Israel were put under huge social and financial pressure simply to abandon Judaism and become Greeks, like all the other Greeks. And many of them chose to do that, but a minority who generally lived away from the cities decided to stand up to their ancient values and traditions. Unfortunately, that led to 3 years of warfare, which of course we don't want. But that's the message of Hanukkah, I think, to not to be scared of standing up for your difference and the light that your tradition brings not only to you, but as Sharon said, to other people in the world. So thank you, Simon, for asking me. As I said, next time, a bit more warning. Over, back to you.
And well done, Sharon. I think a bit of good PR never comes amiss.
oh, hang on, Lois is just walking in with 2 donuts to take them away. Oh, we'll go to the Elenu on page 520.
One for me. There's 2 more out there. To take
When Gary wakes up.
Willie? Are you
Elenu l'shabach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula liyotzei bereshit, asher samchachenu liyached et shemo, v'goha aleinu lamich malchuto, v'anachnu koreim u'mishtachavim u'modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נותן שמיים ויוצא הארץ Moshe Givaro b'shamayim mima'al, Ushvina Tuzah, Begava Maharomim, Hu Eloheinu Heinod, Emet Malkeinu Hefet Zulato, Kakatov B'Torahato, V'yadat hayom v'hoshiveta eholavecha, Ki Adonai hu Elohim, V'shamayim mimahal, V'hal haaretz, Mitzachat einod. Helen, would you lead us in the trusting in you?
Thank you. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts and our idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing it under your unchallenged rule, when all will invoke your name, relinquish evil, and turn to you alone. May all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honour. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. The ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory as it is written. The Eternal One shall reign forever. And it has been said that the eternal God shall rule over all the earth, and that day the eternal God shall be one, and known to be one.
Vayom hahu yihye Adonai echad, U'shamo echad. Creator of the universe, you give us life in which joys and sorrows are commingled in accordance with your wisdom, and you send death with its promise of eternal peace. Teach us to accept humbly and courageously whatever burden is laid upon us. And this week we mark the recent passing of Harvey Ben Susan, Helen White, Bethany Horchover, and Jonathan Jaffa. There's a number of yacht sites that are being marked this week. We've got Richard Jacobs, a friend of Bob and Di's, Alan West, husband of Judith West, Dolly Freeman, the mother of Gary Freeman, Jack Ludwin, the father of Paul Ludwin, Anne Marcus, the mother of Stan Marcus, Michael Dehan, the husband of Maureen Dehan, Dennis Goodman, the husband of Dorothy Goodman, Reggie White, the father of Sharon Jacobs, Brenda Simmons, the daughter-in-law of Rosie and Jeff, Pam Osary, the aunt of Philippa Newham, Jeremiah Gillade, the father of David Gillade, Albert Conn, the father of Judith Winehouse, Adrian Joseph, the wife of Derek Joseph, and lastly, David Jacoby, the brother of our Rabbi Richard Jacoby. Comfort those who mourn. I'm sorry, I should have asked if anybody else is marking a yacht site before I continue. Does anybody else have a name that they wish to have called out? Sorry about that. Comfort those who mourn, and let the light of faith illumine the darkness of their sorrow with the hope of immortality. Strengthen us at all times with an unfailing trust in your providence. Anyone who's marking a yacht site, if they want to, unmute and join with me in the Kaddish, otherwise we'll just say it together. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadal Shemay Rabbah v'alma divra hirutei Yom Michmah. V'chayde chol Yom Echon. V'chayde chol Yisrael. V'gala uzman Arif V'yimru. Yehei Shemei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Olamei Olamei. Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yishtaba'a V'yitmatau Demiram Be'alma V'yimru Omein. Yehei Shlama Rabba Mishamaya V'hayim Aleinu V'yalkol Yisrael V'yimru Omein. Osei Shalom Bimramo Hu Ya'asei Shalom Aleinu V'yalkol Yisrael V'yalkol B'nei Adam V'yimru Amen. May the Most High source of perfect peace grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity. And let us say, Amen. Amen. We'll do a prayer for the those amongst us who aren't the best of health at the moment. I think that's on page 606, I think.
607, Simon.
Thank you, Sharon. Gary Bonsai and your mum Hilda is on the list here, Gary. Linda and Gerald Azariah, Michael Mather. See, Ruth's name is still on the list, but you know she's in Fine Festival. She's there. She's taking part in our Shabbat services. I think that's under false pretenses now. I think we can take your name off the list, and I'm very glad to do so as well. Jeff Keller, Linda Gould, Trudy Herstein, Rabbi Monique Mayer, David Kaplan, Rebecca Young, Robert Hurst, Stephen Phillips, and Harry Rothschild. Yirat Somil Fanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elahei Avotenu Shishachar Lecha Merach Rufuat Shlamesh Rufurat Hanefesh Rufurat Haguf B'toch Sha'ar Halalim Baruch Atah Adonai Rofei Acholim. May it be your will, eternal one, our God and God of our ancestors, speedily to grant a perfect healing of body and mind to all who are sick. We praise you, O God, the source of healing. Over to you, Stuart.
Thanks, Simon. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Chag Sameach. Thank you, Simon, for leading the services. Rabbi David leading the candle lighting, and to the two Garys, the new pop duo, for hosting well despite all the early difficulties, which none of our faults, by the way. Thank you. Tomorrow morning's service begins at 11 a.m. It's a Shalanu service led by Rabbi Richard Mish and Tommy Precious. Tomorrow evening at 5:30 we have the penultimate candle lighting, and it will be led by the ELELS group. So please all come to that. And on Sunday at 5 p.m, the final night of Chanukkah will be led by our religious school children and parents, I think, and there'll be stories and games as well. So it's be a fun event to end in Chanukkah. Every weekday morning at 11 is sensibly ELELS, the chat group. Monday 4:30 is ELELS Puzzlers. On Tuesday at 7 o'clock, there will be a talk by Carol Webb Ingle, our member, and she'll be talking about the history of Chanukkah. You need to register for this, details on the update, along with all the other events coming up in the next week or two. Just want to wish a long night to Gary, to Paul, Chef and Rosie, and all who know. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Chag Sameach, and take care. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you, Stuart. Concluding hymn. Open to to suggestions. Go on, Ruth. Tell us which one you're going to cling true with. You've got a Dan Alom or the Anchor Lahaina. Your choice.
I'm a little like her.
Say again.
I'm a little like her from David.
There'll be a little donut in a minute. I'll tell you. We'll do the Anchor Lahaina, shall we? Anchor Lahaina, Anchor Lahaina, Anchor Malkeinu, Anchor Mosheinu. Micha Eloheinu, Micha Adonai, Micha Malkeinu, Micha Mosheinu. Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonai, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Mosheinu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonai, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Mosheinu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonai, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Mosheinu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonai, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Mosheinu. Adonai oz li'amo yitain, Adonai yivorech et amo v'shalom. Eternal God, grant strength to your people. Eternal God, bless your people with your greatest gift, and that's the one of peace. Shabbat shalom. Then we go back to do the Kaddish. Yes, thank you.
564.
564, thank you. Are we charged? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam porei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho B'ahavahu v'ratzon hinkilanu zikaron lemahasei v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah lemikra kodesh zeh letziyot Mitzrayim kivanu v'chata v'yatanu kidashto Mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kadshecha v'yahava uvratzon hinkaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mechadesh ha'shabbat. Amen. L'chaim. This is where I've got to be very careful how I hold the challah, because you're not supposed to know that I've already cut the end of it off. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Unmute and we can all wish ourselves Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you,
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you,
Shabbat
David.
Shalom.
Simon,
Shabbat Shalom.
Ollie. Thank you, Gary and Gary hosting.
Shabbat Shalom.
Gary, wish you long life.